We don't need to know where we're going. We're all here together. We're all here together. We're all here together.
At SUUSI, we want to be inclusive. We say inclusivity at the top of our lungs anytime we get a chance. We want to be inclusive. The intent is there. But we often fall short of it by being overly cliquey. And that makes newcomers feel like outsiders. They don't feel welcome. When people have been coming to SUUSI their whole lives, I think that's a wonderful, beautiful thing, and it affirms how important SUUSI is to people. But oftentimes, they tend to occupy spaces with a sense of entitlement over newcomers. Rather than reaching out to those people that they don't know, they just gravitate to the people they've known for years or even decades. I just want people to be more excited or equally excited about making new friendships as they are seeing people that they've known for years and years.
We have an alphabet soup, it's serendipity and cachet and all these little things that we say as if everybody knows what those things are. And I think we need to do a better job of explaining and explaining it again, and doing it in written form and doing it in spoken form. I mean, we need to have as many modalities. There are reasons that people don't take information in written form. I mean, I live with a couple of people who don't take information in written form. They have to hear it verbally, and that's just the way they process things. And we need to be able to be aware of that and do more to facilitate that kind of inclusion.
When we try to get to know people based on their educational level or what they do for a living, it feels like you're trying to assign how much respect to give me. When we meet new people and the first question we ask them is, well, what do you do for a living? If I tell you that I am a janitor versus if I tell you that I am the director of a program or something, you're in the back of your mind going to give me more or less respect based on that, whether you intend to or not usually. You know, some people are very fortunate and they get to do what they're passionate about for a living. But a lot of people have to do whatever they have to do to get by. And they're not excited to talk about it because it drains them. Or like, what did you go to school for? Assumes that that person went to school. And maybe they didn't. Maybe they're hurt about that. Maybe they wish they could have gone to school, but they didn't have the resources or the support. You're not interviewing somebody for a job. You're trying to get to know somebody. We're building beloved community, not a corporation. So we want to know what makes people's heart sing, not what they do for a living.
One of the things that we struggle with is that this magical community comes together every summer, but then people go off and continue to change. In general, young people are changing faster. They're coming into who they are in a beautiful and wonderful way. And if SUUSI doesn't give space for them to do that, then they're not going to want to be part of SUUSI. When SUUSI was introducing pronouns and having us introduce our pronouns, it was that population, the young adults and the millennials, who introduced that to SUUSI because they needed SUUSI to know who they were. And who they were wasn't the person that people thought they were, having known them for years. It's hard when you see someone, oh, I've known you for 20 years, and you're using a different pronoun than I've been using for you for 20 years. I have to reset my brain. It's a challenge. It's a challenge that SUUSI should be up to.
There's just a variety of things that take place in those transformative years between 25 and 40, really. You know, I'm almost 35 and I'm working on my undergraduate degree. So I'm in a different place than somebody who's 35 and graduated from college and married and having kids. And we just need to recognize that as adults, just because we're a certain age doesn't mean we're doing a certain thing. Specifically with teens, we tend to joke around about teens often. Oh, have you taken a shower today? Or, oh, have you? And we think that we're joking and being playful, but it can be hurtful. And so I would just encourage people not to do that with someone you don't know very well. Our teens particularly in my experience, are very mature, and they deserve our respect. And so we should treat them with such.
When our young people get to a place where they're taking leadership in our community, and we see them as the 6-year-old who performed at the youth talent show, instead of someone capable of having leadership in our community, we're doing them a disservice and making an unwelcome place for them.
Oftentimes, older adults think that medians, all they want to do is party. They think they're going to be obnoxious and loud, this, that, and the other thing. And instead of talking to somebody in the median program about their concerns, they just gossip a lot about them. And it creates this environment of animosity and grievance. And we need to get away from that, because we are all a community together. And if there's something that needs to be said to a certain group of people, we need to say that in a loving way that moves us forward, not backwards, in our relationships with one another.
I'm hoping that with us being together, we're willing to stretch ourselves. I'm hoping that the conversations we've had in the last 2 years will have been productive conversations that have been like eye-opening conversations that have been like, oh, I didn't know this. We're going to be together, so let's practice what we've learned.
What I hope people can do is to take this seriously, to do some examination of their own identity and privilege and how their identities intersect with others, and to work on coming to SUUSI with a beginner's mind, to come to SUUSI, even if you've been there for 20 years, with holy curiosity and an open heart, and to want to engage with the people in your community fresh, hearing all these things, witnessing all of these things, understanding all of these things, and using them to guide how it is we ask questions of each other, how it is we seek to know one another.
I hope SUUSI gets to thrive and be what it says it is. It has its covenant, its mission statement. It has all these wonderful things in it, and I want it to live up to it. I want it to be more than that. I want it to be an amazing space for everyone. I want it to be able to be home for everyone. I don't know how I'm Black, and I don't know how I'm gay. I don't know how I got to be the person that I am at SUUSI, and it's made me the woman that I am today. And I feel like I'm a pretty awesome woman. And I want other people to be able to grow up and be awesome individuals. Like, I want them to have the opportunity to grow and be in a faith that is welcoming. I just want it to be home for everyone. I don't want it just to be home for some people. I want it to be home for everyone. Everybody who walks through the campus registration line can go, oh, this is home. That would be really cool.
The core of SUUSI to me is embodying the best of what Unitarian Universalism offers our world and our community. The thing that I love the most about SUUSI is when we do that well, we allow people to be fully themselves in a way that our world doesn't allow people to be. I was drawn to being on the teen staff and working with the teens, and in that work found my call to the ministry, because when we did that well for teens, we were countering 51 weeks of messages that they got about there being something wrong with them. And they knew that they were beautiful and loved and whole for a week at SUUSI, and it was an antidote to the toxicity of our society. And so when SUUSI does that well, it's transformative for all sorts of people.
As we're doing this work, we're practicing radical love and courage in these spaces. So we have the opportunity to transform our community so it can be closer to what our mission statement has always been, and truly more welcoming and inclusive.
Into the arms of love, into the arms of love, into love's arms.